Good day, my viewers. This is Hayodele Samuel Jude, your smart tutorial founder. Today we'll be continuing with shape. In our last video, we talked about perimeters. You can check on our videos to learn more about perimeters, which we explained to you that perimeter is still the same thing as circumference, depending on the shape you are dealing with. If you are dealing with a curve shape like circle, you call it circumference. If you are dealing with only shapes that have lines, you call it perimeter. So perimeter and circumference is the same thing. It means surroundings. That is the surroundings, the measurements of the surroundings. And how do you get the measurement of a particular place? You can get the measurement of a particular place by checking what makes them together. So that is that. That is not what we are in for today. Today we'll be looking at area of shape. How to get the area of regular shapes. Under area, what I will give us in this video is just the basis, just like what we know how to do best on this channel, is to give out the basis so that students can create their formula without memorizing to the point of getting confused in examination hall. What am I trying to say in essence? We give out the basis here so that you can understand that, okay, you can create your own formula, which will still be this correct formula that is of the standard formula. So under area, what are you supposed to know under area? The first thing that you are supposed to know under area is how to know how to draw shapes. You must know the different type of shape before you can find the formula of their areas. And the other thing that you need to do, the regular thing that you need to do regarding areas that you need to know, the things that are very vital that you need to know under area is two things. One, area talks about multiplication. Multiplication. While perimeter talk about addition. Perimeter talk about addition. So perimeter is addition of all the sizes, addition of all sides. While area talks about only two sides, that is two sides. Now what are the two sides that you need to take note when you are dealing with area? The first one is perpendicular height. Perpendicular height. That is, area talk about what? Perpendicular height multiplied by the base. The base. So for any shape, for you to get the area, what you just need to know is that you are multiplying only two sides. Which one? The perpendicular height of that shape multiplied by the base of that shape. Now, let's take for example, let's start with triangle. In a triangle, we have what we call the right angle triangle. This is a right angle triangle. In this right angle triangle, this is the height and this is the base. This is the height and this is the base. Do you know that it's still very possible that if you look at the height, this is the base. That means the hypotenuse, which is here, is still part of that triangle and is definitely not forming a kind of an angle that is perpendicular to this height. So that means there is part of this triangle that is missing. That is, we are having more than a base. So the base that we are now having here is an average. Is an average of the base of this triangle. That is why for the area of a triangle, it is what? This base is not just this base that gives, this triangle does not have only this base. Then we see another base here. But in that essence, we have to take out the height multiplied by the base. But this base is an average of two base. Average of two base. So that is why under triangle we have what? Half base times height. If we rearrange it very well, you will discover that the area of a right angle triangle becomes B before H. Half base times height. Don't forget, multiplication of two sides, perpendicular height and the base. The perpendicular height is the height that form angle 90 at both ends. That is, here is angle 90, this height form angle 90 here. It also form angle 90 here. Because this base is not just the base of this triangle, so it is average of the other base that is here, which is still the same measurement with the base that is underneath. So is only triangle or those angles that have bent line that has to have more than two bases. That is, this triangle can sit with this can be the base, and this other one can also be the base. Let's go to square. Under square, don't forget that all the sides are equal under square. This is the base. This is another base. This is the perpendicular height. This is it because it's forming angle 90 here. So this is height and this is height. It has two heights. If you take the average of this height, h plus h, 2, divided by 2, it will give you h. That is, the perpendicular height here is 2h. 2h. The base is 2 base. Now, if you now divide, you have to find the average height and the average base. If you divide it by 2, you divide it by 2 and multiply it together. These two will cancel these two. These two will cancel these two. It will remain what? H times B. That is, the area of a triangle is what? Height times base. Finish. C'est fini. So the perpendicular height is what? Height times base. The same thing still go to rectangle. Under rectangle, the only thing here is just that H and B is still the same length because they are equal. They are equal. So you can say your answer is still H times H, which is H squared, or B times B, which is B squared, because H is the same thing as B. So instead of saying H times B, you can say height times height, or base times base, or which will give you B squared. So the height of a rectangle is just picking two sides of it. The perpendicular height multiplied by the base. Since the heights are equal, just pick one. Since the base are equal, just pick one out of it, multiply it together, you get the area of a right angle, and you get the area of a rectangle. Let's go to the next one, trapezium. Trapezium. This is a regular trapezium. Now, this is trapezium. This is the height. This is a base. This is another base. This is slanted height. Now, this is a base. That is, the trapezium can sit with this and also sit with this. So that means we are having two bases already for this trapezium. Now, and we have to find the average of that base. The average of that base, first, the area of the trapezium is supposed to be the perpendicular height times base. But in this case, we have two bases for the trapezium, and we need to find the average of that base. That would be a plus b divided by 2. We are adding two things together, so we divide it by 2. That will give us the average. That is, a equal area of a trapezium will be what? Times a plus b divided by 2. So at the end of the day, it's still the same thing as what? Area of a trapezium. Oh my goodness. It's not. Sorry. So area of a trapezium now. Are we together, please? I didn't check the camera. Sorry for that. So this is the two bases of the trapezium. The two bases of trapezium, you add it together and divide it by 2, because we are only dealing with two bases here now for this one. We can't just pick one of the base. No. You have to find the average of the base of that trapezium. Remember, area is height, perpendicular height, the one that forms the angle 90. This is the one that forms the angle 90 here. It forms the angle 90. So this is the height of that trapezium. So that's why we say height multiplied by the base. But we have two bases. So we have to add the first base and the second base together, divide it by 2, so that we get just one base. When you divide it by 2, then whatever you get, depending on the number that they put there. So that is, we now have a plus b into brackets height, because multiplication is still the same thing as brackets. So this would be the area of a trapezium. Area of a trapezium. So that is it. Now let's look at the other one. This one is trapezoid. Before that, let's quickly do for cycle. And always try to label in the simplest formats. This is a cycle. In my first video on shape, which is perimeter, I made emphasis on pi. Anything that has curve this curve symbolizes pi. Now, looking at what we have here for this cycle, we have just R and R. So one, we don't have any other side. This curve area is not a side. It's not part of. You can't call it side of the cycle. No, this is just the curve, the boundary of that cycle. So here, the two sides that we have in this cycle is just, the side we have in this cycle is just 2. So one will represent the base, the other one will represent the height. Anything when you are dealing with any shape that have curve, just attach the pi to the formula. That is, the area of a cycle will be pi r times r. Don't forget, area is multiplication and it's two sides. So since we have just two sides, we don't need to look for any extra side. So one will represent the perpendicular height, the other one will represent the base. So that is the area of a cycle is what? R times I is r squared. Is pi r squared. That is it. So when you are confused in examination, especially your mind is telling you pi, is it 2 pi r? Is it pi r squared? Just write area is equal to multiplication of two sides. If it is a curve shape, just put the pi dots the formula. Pi dot the formula. Pi dot the formula. If it is perimeter now, or circumference, it will be what? R plus R. That will be 2R. But this one is R times R, R square. So perimeter or circumference of this cycle will be what? 2R here. R plus R will be 2R. So, but here we are dealing with area. So the area of the cycle is what? Pi R square. I hope it's clear. So the next one we are going to be dealing with is area of this trapezoid. Area of this trapezoid. Let's just know I will not be, I'm only trying to let you understand how to form your formula by yourself when you are in an examination. Is that taken? So we need, this is not a curve shape. This is made up of lines. So there must be height. This is not height. This is slanted height. So we are looking for perpendicular height. So we can have a perpendicular height here, which is still the same thing as this. So this is our height. So the area of this trapezium, the area of this trapezium is still the same thing as, you have to take one out of the heights. You take one out of it, that is h times, this is base, this is one base, this is another base. So you have to add the two base together and divide it by 2 because it's 2 base. Then this is the area of the trapezium. Just like the same way we find the area of the trapezium here, you will still get the same thing. So the last one, which will not be the least, is we are going to find this area of a cylinder. Area of a cylinder. I think it is the most complex shape that we have for this video. So before that, let me just rub it off, and so that we can do it together. So this is a cylinder. We want to look for the area of a cylinder. How do you get the area of a cylinder or any complex shape? Any complex shape that you want to solve, what you need to do is to break down the shape into smaller parts. What am I trying to say in essence? What I'm trying to say in essence is that if you look at a cylinder, cylinder has 3 shapes or 3 parts. A cycle at the top, followed by a rectangular shape, and followed by another cycle. Though this is not actually a rectangle, but it looks like a rectangle because if you look at the lower parts of it, there is still curve. This curve is still part of this shape. So this curve is still part of this shape. Don't forget. That is, you bring out the cycle, then you bring out this one that looks like this, then we also have another cycle. So that means if you find the area of this cycle, find the area of this that looks like a rectangle, and find the area of this cycle, if you add them, the 3 areas together, you will get the full area of this cylinder. Do you get it? Let's go. The area of a cycle, don't forget, cycle, anything curve has pi. This one also is curve, has pi. This one is curve, has pi. And don't forget, so here is R. So now, for this first cycle, the area of the cycle, like I said, if anything has curve, just put pi. Area is perpendicular height times base. Here we only have R and R, so that would be R times R. So the answer here will be what? Pi R square. For this one looks like a rectangle. So this is height. This is height. So what are you going to do? Length times breadth. That is the perpendicular height times the base. Don't forget, since it has a curve, it will still goes with pi. Pi, then the height is what? H times r. At the end of the day, it will give us what? Pi r h. For this one, it's also a cycle, just like the first one. So the area of this particular one will also be what? Pi dot the formula, which is r times r, which is equals to what? Pi r square. So pi r square plus pi r square will give us what? 2 pi r square. Pi r square plus pi r square is like a boy plus a boy equals to 2 boy in mathematics. The same thing, pi r square and pi r square will give us 2 pi r square. So plus the area of this one is what? Pi r h. So this is the formula for calculating the area of a cylinder. Any question? If you have any question, just drop it at the comment section on Facebook. You can go to the Smart Tutorial on Facebook. We are there. You can draw any shape, find the area or the perimeter, and let us see how you were able to do it. If you have other simpler method of getting area and perimeter of regular shape or complex shape, just post it here on Facebook. We will be readily available to approve your post, and others will learn from you. Click on the subscribe button so that you can always get our subsequent video that will be uploaded on this channel. Stay tuned and enjoy your day. Thanks for watching.